I was a reporter in in a big part of my career, and I'm pretty curious. And so I just walked over and asked them what they were doing. And they told me. I just immediately just said, oh my gosh, can I join you?
What makes you happy? What are you passionate about doing? And if there isn't anything existing that checks those boxes for you, then start it.
Hi, I'm Mary Grauerholz.
Hi, I'm Trish Corey.
And you're entering A World Gone Good.
Well, hello, my name's Steve, and this is the place where we shine the light on everyday people making good happen each and every day. Welcome to World Gone Good. This right here is our return episode after taking our well-deserved spring break. And we're excited to be back with you. We have a whole good lineup coming your way that we can't wait for you to hear. Quick reminder, if you like our show, share our show with your friends. Spread the good word on your social media. Forward your favorite episode to your pals via text or email. And give us your own rating and review right now, right where you are listening. Doing each and all of these things here that I just spoke of, it helps more people find the good we got going on. And for that, as always, we say thank you. Today, I feel like we should cue up "Thank You for Being a Friend." For many reasons, the theme of the comedy classic, The Golden Girls, is going to ring true today. This is your reminder right now that it is not too late. It is never too late for you, for me, for all of us to try something new, step outside our comfort zone, and have a little adventure, no matter how many birthday candles have lit up our collective cakes. If you were to meet our good guests, Mary Grauerholz and Trish Corey, perhaps you might make a few assumptions about them based on their age. Here's one assumption I highly doubt you would make. Both of these proudly self-proclaimed old ladies have taken their passion for environmentalism next level. They are members of a gang, a geriatric gang, who have been featured in the Boston Globe and Reader's Digest, heard on NPR, and have been seen on NBC Nightly News and the Drew Barrymore Show. As Drew herself would say, these ladies are magical. That's my Drew impression. And yes, Drew, yes, they are. Here come Mary and Trish to share the good of Olaug. This is a very unique and exciting twosome I have with me today. Mary, Trish, let's start here. Mary, how do you know Trish?
I met Trish strictly through Olaug.
Great. Trish, how do you know Mary?
Same. We met at Olaug.
Great. Mary, I want you to tell everybody now what Olaug stands for.
Old Ladies Against Underwater Garbage.
I love this so much because scuba is self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Be very impressed that I know that because I learned that in probably 4th grade, and we were playing Trivial Pursuit one time with my family, and the final Jeopardy question to win the whole game was, what does scuba stand for? And I literally jumped to my feet and screamed self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Now, if anyone happens to ask me what Olaug stands for, I can do the same thing. I know that the founder of your group is a woman named Susan Bauer. How did the name come to be? Do you all know?
Well, I know that Susan, this is going back many years. Susan was swimming with a friend, and Susan was very enamored of, and still is enamored with, turtles. She loves turtles, has written books about them, has done some artwork in children's books of turtles. But she was actually in the water in a freshwater pond here on Cape Cod looking for turtles when she started getting tempted to start picking up trash, which she had been using for markers in the water. If she came across the same old plastic milk jug, she would say, "Oh, this is where I should be turning left," or something like that. And so finally, she and the other swimmer decided, well, maybe we'll start picking up trash. And I think it was the other woman, whom I don't know, but I think the other woman said, we're just some old ladies against underwater garbage. And that stuck. Susan really liked that. And about 5 years ago, it became very formalized as a group.
Yeah, you were formed in 2017, and we're talking about old ladies here. We're talking 64 to 85 years old. Can I ask you, Trish, how old are you?
66.
Mary, how old are you?
I'm 74.
Atta girl, I'm 55. I think we're all doing well. I want to ask you both a very serious question. Is there a swim test to be part of your group? And also, are you both strong swimmers, Trish?
Yes, we are. We're all strong swimmers in our group. And yes, there's a swim test.
I love it. I guessed on that. What is the swim test, Trish? What do they make? What do you have to do?
So we get together every June for a safety day. And part of that safety day is a swim test where we have to swim at least a half mile in under a half an hour.
Wow.
And we do it with our snorkel apparatus. And each of the swimmers then has to go through safety training. So we work with our kayakers. The kayakers go through a safety protocol. The swimmers go through safety protocol. Yeah, we take that part of it very seriously, given that we're mature people in challenging situations, underwater, cold water.
Yeah.
It's a really important part of what we do, Steve.
Yeah, I would think so. And I was a lifeguard and I taught kids how to swim, so I totally get that. Mary, on the website, I love this. It says, you have a serious mission, but you're not so serious, ladies.
I think that's very well put. Often, we've all noticed that very often we can be having a fairly grueling kind of swim. They're not all that way. Some of them feel a little bit more easygoing than others, but we've been known to be laughing when we, return with a humongous piece of trash, and it takes like 4 women to carry it back. And sometimes we'll just start laughing because we can't believe that we're actually doing this. We really have a lot of laughter. We have a pretty easy breezy relationship anyway, and we can get each other laughing. And it definitely, I would say, we don't take ourselves very seriously.
No, and we shouldn't at this point in where we are in the world, right? I mean, I think a thing that's amazing that you all are doing, it's something we're talking a lot about on this show since January, is community. And you all have established a community amongst yourselves. Trish, do you want to speak to that?
It is such a unique thing because I'm sure we've all been part of groups. You join a group, it has a good mission, something you relate to, but it doesn't necessarily turn into something that you really look forward to doing. It might be, okay, I'm committed to this, I'll see it through kind of process. But with Olaug, it's really different. It's us coming together for this mission that we all feel very passionate about, the ecology and the water of Cape Cod, all water everywhere. But, we can manage what's here, and this is our place to make a difference. So that part we all have in common, which is a great starting point for a community. Get with people who share the same passions that you do. But then we take it further, and you want to make sure, to Mary's point, that you have fun doing it, because otherwise it just starts to become work. It's just this commitment. It's this box you have to check. But if you can do something good and have fun doing it, sign me up for that all day long. That's where it changes from just a group of people with a shared mission to a group of people with a shared mission who care about each other and have fun together. And that's what's different with Olaug. we're that group of people that cares about each other, that has fun together. And oh, wow, we just happen to be doing this really cool thing of cleaning up the water. So I think when some people start thinking about what can I do to become part of a community, look for those things. What makes you happy? What are you passionate about doing? And if there isn't anything existing that checks those boxes for you, then start it. Go out and do it. It doesn't matter how old you are or where you are. It just matters that you take action and do something, because when you feel passionate about it and when you feel joy doing it, then other people are going to share that and they're going to want to join in. And that's how you start building a community.
I love it. And I think also, and we can all speak to this, I think as we get older, it gets a little harder to find our community because, when we're in high school, it's a built-in community. College, built-in community. We get married, we have kids. Most people, right? Create a family, majority of people. And then it's all based around the kids' things, the school things. But then the kids move on, right? And we get older and people move away. And so I think this is so amazing that you all created your own community. And what you just spoke to is that it's kind of how this podcast started. I wanted this podcast. I couldn't find this podcast. And I just said, well, if I want it, I'm sure there's somebody else who wants it. I guess I'll start it. And that's how it began. Mary, how did you join this group?
Well, it was kind of a funny thing that happened. I met Susan here on a beach where I live. I live on a freshwater pond. And I was out in my yard and I saw Susan with she's another Olaug member named Julia. And they were swimming on a beach near me. And I noticed right away that they had on wetsuits. It was in the spring and they were putting on snorkels and so forth. And I thought, I was a reporter in in a big part of my career, and I'm pretty curious. And so I just walked over and asked them what they were doing. And they told me that they go in diving for trash. And I just immediately just said, oh my gosh, can I join you? And so I did. And then shortly after that, we started these casual swims. And shortly after that, Susan and I were checking out another freshwater pond in Falmouth. And we're talking about scouting it to see if it needs to be cleaned, which is something we always do. We always scout first to see how the trash is and also to make sure it's very safe. And two women walked down from a house. And now those women, Robin and Diane, are also part of our group. And they walked down and were very intrigued and curious, saying, what are you doing? And Diane actually thought that maybe we were sort of undercover, FBI types who were searching for a body. And we quickly explained that we weren't, that we were just going to go in and so forth. We explained the entire story. At that point, we weren't really talking a lot about the acronym Olaug. It was just something we were doing. So sure enough, Diane and Robin joined us. And that's when I feel like things kind of got coalesced.
You're kind of the OG of the Olaug, which I can, if you don't know what an OG is, look it up. Trish, how did you? Okay, good. Trish, how did you join this group?
I joined by invitation. A friend of mine was part of the group. We were coaching Special Olympics together, and she's a really good swimmer. And she said to me, she knew that I did swims a couple times a week with friends around one of our lakes nearby. And she said, you're a really good swimmer. You should come out and do this with us. And she said, there's training, in June, there's safety training and tryouts. And so I thought, gosh, old ladies picking up garbage. I mean, on the face value of it, it doesn't sound really exciting when you look at it, in one way. I thought, gee, I've got a lot going on. And then I thought to myself, I wonder what the tryouts are about. Like, what how do you have to train to pick up garbage? Isn't that something that should be sort of innate, So I was just curious. Once she invited me, I thought, I really need to go see what this is about. And the thing that she said to me that was most intriguing, Steve, was they're the most amazing group of women. You really should come meet them.
Wow.
And that was the hook. Again, it wasn't so much, okay, we can clean up garbage. A lot of people do that and it's great. We're all environmentalists in our group. We all want to do things, that improve the ecology of our space in this world. But we also had this group of people that were very successful and fun and engaging and adventurous. And so as soon as I got there, everyone makes you feel very welcome. We went through the tryouts and did all the safety training, and it was just so much fun being with everybody that I thought, this is very cool. This is something I'm really going to enjoy doing.
Now that's what you said, Trish, and we're going to start with you. But what did your family say when you said, I'm going to go swim out in the water and try to pull things off the bottom of the pond?
Yeah.
Was it I would have a few words for my 84-year-old mother about that, but go on.
So good news. I'm pretty much an adrenaline junkie. I've come to my family before and said, I'm going to jump off this cliff and I'm going to jump out of a plane. And so me saying I'm going to go pick up garbage out of a pond was a snooze. They were like,
Mary, what did your family say?
I think a little bit like Trish, although I've never done something like jumping out of a plane, but I think my family was kind of like, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
Mary's got something else that she's gonna, she really wants to try. The thing is, when I tried it, I really was pretty hooked. I mean, I have to say, like from the get-go, like Trish was saying, the adrenaline part, kind of takes over. There's some sort of a very deep fascination about it and, and joy, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's also breaking some stereotypes about what women can do and also what people over the age of 60 can do.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's why we call ourselves old ladies, full stop. We want people to pay attention to that, because the assumption that comes with that is that, it's a very derogatory term. So people don't often say it. So when we just lead with that, we are old ladies, it makes people uncomfortable. And that's a really good thing, because that's what leads to change. When they come and watch what we do and they finish watching what we do and say, wow, you guys are incredible, this is hard work, then they change completely their thought of first what older people can do, and especially older women, because we tend to be put in these boxes. And many older women, when we do different presentations or we show them what we do, often they'll say to us, this is so cool because I feel invisible. I feel transparent. When you get to be a certain age and you've gone through different life phases of maybe having a family, raising kids, maybe being in a corporate environment and finishing that job, there's this sense of now what do I do? And our society doesn't value that place like it should. It doesn't say, this person brings a whole lot of experience, a whole lot of talent to the table with that experience of years and age. We don't do that in our society. And I think that's such a misfortune, because all of us want people to notice that value.
And you have all the years behind you of what you've learned and what you've watched the earth and the world become, because there's a whole environmental impact going on here as well. And on that note, Mary, what kind of stuff are you guys pulling out of the water? And why don't you clarify for everybody, because what I was reading, you have a kayak or a boat nearby. You guys, y'all, not guys, you're not guys, y'all old ladies are pulling stuff up into the kayaks. Is that correct? And what's your basic, what's the basic haul on a Sunday morning?
Easily 100 pounds at least of garbage.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And a really fun thing that we do is fun and enlightening is when we're all finished, we spread the garbage out on the beach and take pictures. And we actually have gotten some very artful pictures by Diane Hammer, who is our lead kayaker. She's a very good photographer, and those have been on display in some places. But we do spread out the garbage and look at it, and of course, the imagination goes all over the place. Like, why would there be a garden gnome in a pond, but we've come across, furniture, big pieces of furniture, boats. We know one pond where there's a car, but we're not going to try to move it, I don't think. But we picked up a toilet. We've picked up huge pieces of like a dismantled house. But we've also picked up lots and lots, just too much to even describe, of very small things like, toys, tons of golf balls, tennis balls, tons of fishing lures, which is kind of my nemesis. I hate the lures with the hooks on them.
Yep.
So everybody knows that it kind of gets under my skin, as it were, but I love going after those. And things that are really, really bad for the water, like unexploded fireworks, car batteries.
How are these things getting in there? Are people just dumping them, or are they getting washed in?
I think that's a really good question, and it's something we think about a lot and wonder. I do think a lot of things do get kind of accidentally tipped in or washed in. Especially toys that are on a beach.
Sure, little things. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very, it makes a lot of sense to me that there would be items that get, just accidentally washed in. The interesting thing about that to me is that people, I think by far the majority of people would never think of just holding, getting a good breath of air, making sure they were okay, and then diving down to pick it up and take it out. I think there's this natural human sort of thing that makes people think once something is hidden in the water, then it's gone. And that's one of the sort of fallacies that we're trying to change. I think it's much, much, much better than it used to be. But I'm old enough to remember in the 50s when people would go on a picnic or something and just leave their trash.
Sure.
It was completely normal. And I don't know what we thought was going to happen to it.
Right. The trash fairy was going to come and get it.
Yeah, exactly. The really big things like the toilet, the pieces of houses, to me, it's pretty, tires is huge, a huge thing. Truck tires, car tires, people, don't want to go through the trouble of taking them to a town landfill, or maybe they don't have enough money to pay the fee. I don't know. I have no idea. But I know that I'm certain that a lot of people throw things like that into the water. If they're dismantling a house, maybe some pieces end up in the water. But some of these things that we pick up are like more than 100 years old.
Wow.
So, I don't necessarily think people are terrible, about just blithely throwing huge pieces of garbage into, a body of water. But they could easily have done it 50 years ago. As I said, I mean, I think we all were doing that.
Trish, have you found treasure? And I'm going to ask you this to explain if you have, because I have to tell you really quickly, during the lockdown, everyone in my neighborhood stopped picking up their dog poop. It just became like, let's let the dogs poop. Like, it's too much for me all of a sudden. And what I started doing, because at the time I had 3 dogs, I would have 3 and 4 bags on me, and I was picking up everybody's poop. And I was filling, I'm not kidding, 3 and 4 bags in 1 block radius. It was disgusting. And some of it was right on the sidewalk. Some of it was, on in that little area between the sidewalk, the little greenery area before the street. Some of it was in the street. And one day, I went to go pick up some poop, and there was a $10 bill sitting right next to the poop. And I decided that someone was rewarding me. So, have you found cash? What do those pirates call it? What is it? Not a
Booty.
The booty?
Booty, pirate booty, or doubloons?
Oh, I wish.
There aren't a lot of sunken treasures in ponds. That would be more in the sea, I guess. But, we haven't found any jewels, not much money. Sometimes, we find a wallet that's got some money in it, but we try to get it back to the owner. If there's ID in it, we'll get it back to them. It's a funny thing. Like, what is treasure? I mean, for us, every piece of garbage is a piece of treasure. We call it a treasure hunt. Like, the more garbage, the better. It makes us so happy which is ironic, right? Our name is Against Underwater Garbage. But here we are feeling like we get to that pond. We're like racehorses coming out of the gate. We all move in. We have a very distinct plan for every pond, exactly how we're going to approach it. We set up teams of swimmers with a kayak, and we move in different directions. So we cover we circumvent the pond. We cover the shore area as we're cleaning. But then we go off. And when you get in that water, it's like you're in this magical place. We start looking, we swim next to each other across the depths. So one diver closer to the shore, one a little further out, and one to our deepest point, which is about 8 to 10 feet. And then we just start looking sideways and down, and you look for shapes of things. So sometimes it's really obvious. There's beer cans, beer bottles, things like that. Golf balls, lots of golf balls. But otherwise, you really have to start training your eye to look for shapes of things that shouldn't be there, things that are perfectly round or perfectly square. So then you just start diving and pulling up things, and then you hold them up for your kayaker to come get them. And the kayaker pulls all the garbage into a basket between their legs in the kayak, or we balance it across the top of the kayak. And the whole thing is just this big treasure hunt. So treasure being monetary treasure, maybe not, but treasure in general, the kind of thing that makes us happy is the garbage. And when we come back and we lay it out, like Mary said, and we all look at it, it is so much fun. We kind of dig through it and say, wow, look at this and look at that. And, what's the story behind that? And how did that get here? That's so odd that would be here. And then we add it all up and make sure it gets taken away. And it's such a good feeling. You walk away just thinking that was fun. That was just a blast. We're in the water. We all love to swim, and we're just looking for treasure.
And this treasure has also, as you were talking about, you're taking photos of it. It becomes art. You all, on February 17th of this year, you did a Trash is Art exhibit of your finds. Tell me about that.
That was Diane's art exhibit. I think so.
Yeah. Steve, it was a year ago, February.
Oh, okay. Were either of you at it?
Yes. Trish had not joined yet, I believe. Is that right?
Then I don't care about Trish. No, go ahead.
There you go.
Trish did not matter until Trish joined this group. Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, we had a very successful exhibit where, we did big pieces of art to exhibit at the Falmouth Art Center. It's this really lovely exhibit space. And they had a video of us rolling the entire time. It was the first video that was made of us. And so that was running. We had an aquarium set up with a lot of like lures and things like that. There were these gorgeous photos, like we were saying, that Diane shot, that it's hard to even describe, but she would zoom in and on a pile, just part of a pile of trash, and get amazing shapes. I mean, it looked like fine art.
I love it. Now, you all love animals, you love the environment, and you love cookies. I need to know about the cookies that I saw on your website. Please tell me the cookies are not made from the trash.
We haven't figured that out yet. Not to say we wouldn't in the future. I'm sure it'll happen.
Are the cookies a reward, or what is the cookies about?
We don't take money for what we do. There's no fee. When we go to a pond, there's a lot of great ponds on the Cape. They're the ones we focus on. I mean, dozens. There's a lot. And so when we go to the pond, we usually try to work with a homeowners association that's located on the pond, or we work with the town. But if we can work with the homeowners association, we use their beach or their access as our starting point. And we also include them in the process. We might ask them to have some kayakers available to go out with us so that they're seeing firsthand what we're doing. And they now become vested in the whole process. And we hope take a greater responsibility or value cleaning up the pond, and take more responsibility in helping with that moving forward. So one of the things we do, since we tell them, our services are all free, but when we get out of that water and we've been in the water an hour and a half, we're cold. It's the water temperatures, maybe in the 60s. And just swimming around for that length of time, you get cold. So we ask for hot drinks and cookies as our reward for when we're done. And they get clever. Sometimes we've gotten cookies that are in the shape of the pond that we cleaned, but it's the only thing we ever ask for in return for what we're doing.
I love it because it almost goes back to like kindergarten, preschool, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
That sounds about right for us.
It does.
We're just a bunch of kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do people find you online?
Yeah, Olaug-ma.com.
If people Google Olaug, Olaug, there comes up a lot of coverage. So yeah, they'll see all about us.
That's perfect. The final two questions are how we end every show. I'm going to ask each of you. One of you will have a moment to think about it as I ask the other one. Mary, you're up first. So Trish, you get to think about this. Mary, it can be anything you want to answer, anything we've already talked about or anything that comes to you. The question is, who inspires you?
Oh my goodness. I would say Mother Earth. I mean, that probably sounds kind of trite, but I mean, my fellow Olaugers very, very much inspire me. And we get a lot of encouragement from people who watch us. And, maybe they're just at the beach for a swim and they see us and they start to watch us. And it definitely encourages me, to keep going. But for the deep, deep inspiration, really, I feel like it's Earth.
Trish, who inspires you?
It's such a good question because rather than naming a single person, I think that I would say women who have gone ahead of us, who've been trailblazers, who, despite the odds, have done something extraordinary, who have proven that it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you look like. None of that matters. If you determine that you're going to do something and you do it, those women, those people inspire me.
And the final question is not a question. It is a statement to finish. It can be about anything that you want to say. I'm going to start with you, Trish. I'll come to you, Mary, next. Finish this sentence, Trish. Tell me something good.
Tell you something good. Things start flooding through my head. There's so many good things that I would share with you. That I have an amazing family and wonderful friends, and I live in this amazing place. So for me, I feel that life is so good. I'm very blessed. There are so many things I have access to and so many things I want to do and I'm capable of doing and healthy to do. So, what's good? There's so much. I just feel like we live in a great time. And although many people would say that we live in a time that's very contentious and people are struggling, but I think you do have to focus on what's good. And you do have to create opportunities to do things that are good, to make good happen, and whatever that means to you. But I think that I'm the type of person who does that. So I feel very blessed.
Mary, you get to close the show. No pressure. Tell me something good.
Yeah, Trish is a hard act to follow.
Not at all.
I totally agree with Trish in that I feel very, very fortunate to have the life that I have and to live in a place like we do. I mean, Cape Cod is this just awesomely beautiful place that's also ecologically very fragile because of the water table being so close to the surface. Just one of the reasons being that. But I think that does the fragility of where we live, the Cape and Islands, makes it feel that much more, critical that we try to do something. And for a worrier like me, I mean, I do worry. I tend to dwell on, as we were talking about the big things in the world that can kind of get to you if you let it. But trying to change my headset when I get to a beach and we're going to dive for trash, just change the way I'm looking at things and to think, all right, I'm going to go into the water and find detritus that some probably innocent, well-meaning person, let go into the water. So I don't have a gripe with people overall about this, but just being able to focus on that, pick it up, pull it up, hand it to a kayaker, gives me a feeling that is so good.
Thank you, Mary and Trish, for sharing all the good that Olaug has to offer. Next time on World Gone Good.
I love it when people get to a place where they're like, holy shit, I feel good. I feel light, my skin is clear, my digestion is on par, I feel good. And that oftentimes it's something that people aren't super familiar with.
Christina Shadle is a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, and she likes wine. Which is good, because so do I. So much so that she created her course, Wellness for Winos, where you can keep the cocktails and lose the consequences. We are talking the good of habit stacking, detox and balance, and how a 14-day nourishing reset can be a life changer. Raise your glass to our next all-new episode. Until then, be good.